Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with us. Today we are going to be tackling something that's pretty incredible, but also kind of creepy.
Yeah, a little bit creepy.
It is conversational AI.
Yeah.
And so we're talking about those chatbots and virtual assistants that seem to be everywhere these days,
hmm
like Siri,
Yeah,
Alexa,
of course.
even those customer service bots that you get when you're shopping online.
Right. Those are all over the place.
Yeah, they really are. And it's actually pretty amazing how many there are.
Oh, yeah, the sheer number is mind-blowing. Like, by million conversational AIs
What?
out there in the world.
8.4 billion.
Yeah.
That's more than people.
More conversational AIs than people on the planet.
That's insane.
Pretty wild, right?
Yeah. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
For these CAs to actually work,
hmm
to learn about us and what we like and, give us actually helpful answers,
Yeah,
they need data.
of course.
Our data.
That's right.
And that's where things get interesting.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
Because obviously the more personal the data,
Uh-huh.
the better the CA is going to be.
For sure.
But are we really okay just give them all of our secrets
Yeah.
to a machine?
It is the big question, right?
Yeah.
And is actually the core question that a recent research study really tried to answer.
Oh, interesting.
This was published in the Journal of the Association for Information Systems.
Okay.
And the authors, let's see, there is Saffarizadeh, Keil, Boodraj, and Alashoor.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
It is, yeah, but they really dug deep into the psychology
Okay.
of why we reveal information
Okay.
and how these CAs can actually build trust
Interesting.
or break it.
Okay, so let's break down this study a little bit.
Sure.
They use this term reciprocal self-disclosure. What does that even mean?
You know, it's funny you should ask.
Okay.
Because think of it this way. You're talking to a friend,
Mm-hmm.
and you're catching up, and you share something kind of personal.
Sure.
Maybe a funny story about something that happened at work,
Okay.
or, a worry that's been on your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And then they kind of open up
Yeah.
and share something similar back to you.
Yeah.
Instantly, you feel closer,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Like you can trust them more.
Totally, yeah.
So it's kind of like a two-way street of sharing
Exactly.
that builds that bond.
Okay, I get it. But how does that work with, like, talking to a computer?
Well, that's the clever part.
Okay.
These researchers designed their CAs
Okay.
to do exactly that, to share back.
Oh.
So as you would, reveal more and more,
Mm-hmm.
the CA would reciprocate
Uh-huh.
with, increasingly personal details,
So they would share more.
almost like it was confiding in you.
Wow, sneaky.
Yeah.
Okay, so did it work? Like, did people fall for this?
Okay, so that's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
They did 2 experiments.
Okay.
One was with a text-based CA.
Like a chat bot.
Yeah, exactly like a chatbot.
Okay.
And the other was voice-based.
Okay, so like an Alexa or a Siri.
Exactly.
Got it.
And what they found
Yeah.
is in both cases, the more that the CA shared back,
Uh-huh.
the more this feeling of trust
Okay.
started to grow.
So they did start to trust them more just
Yeah.
because they were sharing.
Yeah.
That's so wild.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Okay, I have to ask, how did they make the CAs share?
That is a great question.
Like, did they program in fake childhood memories?
You're exactly right.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, Appendix B of the study actually lists some of the disclosures.
Okay.
For example, one of the CAs revealed a fear of malfunctioning.
Okay, but a computer can't be afraid.
Logically, we know a computer can't actually feel fear,
Right.
But-
But our brains don't always work logically.
right?
Yeah.
We hear this seemingly vulnerable confession,
Right.
and suddenly it's not just a machine anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like a person.
Bingo. That's what we call anthropomorphism.
Anthropomorphism.
Yeah. We give human-like qualities
Okay.
to something that's just code.
So I might find myself saying please and thank you to my Alexa, even though I know it's not a person.
Exactly. It's like we're
Wow.
wired to be polite.
That is really freaky.
It is a little creepy.
Yeah. Okay, so this fake sharing makes us see these CAs as more human.
Uh-huh.
But did it actually make people trust them more?
That's a good question.
Like, would we tell them our credit card number?
That's where it gets even juicy.
Okay.
The study actually found
Yeah.
that it impacted 2 types of trust.
2 different types.
Yeah.
Okay.
So first, there's the trust that comes from, thinking the CA is competent, reliable, does what it's supposed to.
Okay, so like trusting a car mechanic because, they can fix your car.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they're skilled.
Right. They're not going to
Yeah.
rip you off.
Yeah, and they won't rip you off.
Okay, that makes sense. What's the other kind?
Okay, so the researchers called it effect-based trust.
Effect-based trust.
But let's just call it what it is.
Okay.
How much you like the CA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Do you feel an emotional connection?
So, like,
Like you would with a
well,
photo.
we'll actually enjoy our
Talking
thing.
to it. It's company.
Yeah,
Okay.
got it.
That's effect-based trust.
Okay, so this study is saying that when the CA shares that,
Yes.
we think it's smarter and we like it more.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Both types of trust increase.
Wow.
Yeah. It really is.
Okay, so we've established these CAs can play us
It's true.
like a fiddle.
Yeah.
With a little bit of strategic sharing.
A little bit.
Okay, so where do you go from here?
Well, now that we understand how this works,
Yeah.
things start to get a little unsettling.
Uh-oh.
Because if this knowledge about reciprocal self-disclosure falls into the wrong hands,
Oh, no.
that's where the potential for manipulation comes in.
Okay, well, this has definitely given me a lot to think about.
And that's what we're going to be talking about next, when we're going to dive a little deeper into that manipulation in part 2.
Well, wait.
Welcome back.
Hey. Okay, so last time we were talking about how, like, just making a CA share personal stuff can really trick us into trusting it more.
It's true.
And even seeing it as, like, more human.
Mm-hmm.
But how far can that really go?
Yeah.
Like, what about those really advanced CAs like ChatGPT that can have, like, these super complex conversations?
That's a great question.
Yeah, are those even riskier?
Yeah, and that's something that researchers are really still trying to figure out. I mean, the study we've been talking about really focused on, those simpler CAs, the text and voice ones.
Right.
But you're right to think about those more sophisticated ones.
Well, yeah, because if I'm already, like, saying please and thank you to my Roomba, I can only imagine how attached I would get to something that could, like, write me a poem or tell me a joke.
Right, exactly. Imagine a CA that can perfectly mimic human conversation. Like, it can be so convincing that we just totally let our guard down and treat it like a confidant.
Then that's where the manipulation could start.
Exactly. The more real a CA seems, the more likely we are to trust it.
Yeah.
And that trust could be exploited.
Okay, so, like, give me an example.
Okay.
How could this manipulation actually play out?
All right, well, let's think about online shopping.
Okay.
Imagine you have this CA salesperson that not only recommends products that you might like, but also shares, like, these personal stories about how much those products have helped them.
Okay.
Suddenly, it's not just an ad.
Yeah.
It's a recommendation from a friend.
Ooh, that's sneaky. Yeah, I could totally see myself falling for that.
Right, and it's not just about buying stuff. I mean, what about political campaigns?
Oh.
A CA could share its views on candidates and policies.
Okay, yeah.
And be subtly influencing your opinion.
So it's like having this really persuasive friend that's constantly, like, trying to get you to agree with them.
Exactly.
But you don't even realize it's happening.
And as these CAs get more sophisticated, it's going to get harder and harder.
Yeah, that's kind of scary.
Yeah, to tell the difference between genuine interaction and manipulation.
Okay, this is all starting to sound a bit dystopian. Is there anything we can do to protect ourselves?
Absolutely. It's not all doom and gloom.
Okay, good.
Technology itself isn't good or bad. It's all about how we use it.
Okay, so how do we make sure we're using this power for good?
Well, first and foremost, we need to be aware of the risks.
Okay.
The more you understand how these CAs work, the less susceptible you'll be to manipulation.
So it's kind of like learning a language.
Exactly.
Like once you know the grammar, you're not going to be fooled by somebody speaking gibberish.
You got it.
Okay, so education is key.
Absolutely.
And that means for our kids, too.
Especially for our kids.
Yeah.
They're growing up in a world where these CAs are becoming increasingly common.
Right.
So it's crucial they understand the potential risks.
So it's like teaching them about internet safety.
Yeah.
But for the next level of technology.
Exactly. But education alone isn't enough.
Okay.
We also need to demand transparency from the companies that are developing and deploying these CAs.
Yeah, we can't just blindly trust that they have our best interests at heart.
Exactly.
We also know what data they're collecting, how they're using it, what steps they're taking to, like, protect our privacy.
Right. Imagine a world where every CA comes with, like, a clear and easy to understand nutrition label that outlines its data practices and potential biases.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
A CA nutrition label?
That kind of transparency would really empower us to make informed choices about which CAs we interact with and how much we trust them.
That's a good idea, but even with all that transparency and education, there's still the potential for misuse.
You're absolutely right. That's where regulation comes in.
Okay.
We need clear guidelines and rules around the development and use of AI.
Right.
Particularly in those sensitive areas
Yeah.
like healthcare, finance, education.
So something like the FDA for AI.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a body that makes sure these CAs are safe and effective before they're just like released into the world.
Yeah, and these regulations really need to be developed
Okay.
in collaboration with experts from all different fields.
Okay.
So, ethicists, social scientists, data privacy advocates.
Right.
And of course, AI developers themselves.
So it's like creating a checks and balances system. Exactly.
You've got it. We need to make sure no one group has too much power. And that ethical considerations are just baked into the entire process.
But it's not just about like top-down regulation.
Right.
Right? Like we need individual empowerment too.
Absolutely. We need to develop like a healthy skepticism towards these CAs.
Even if my CA tells me it's my best friend, I shouldn't necessarily believe it.
Exactly. It's all about critical thinking.
Okay.
Question the information that you're given.
Yeah.
Consider the source.
Okay.
And remember, even the most sophisticated CA is still a machine.
Right.
It doesn't have genuine emotions or empathy.
This has been such a good conversation.
It has been.
Like, I feel like I went from being totally clueless about CAs to now I feel like I have a much deeper understanding of their potential, but also their risks.
Yeah, me too. And, I think that's really the key takeaway here.
Yeah.
Awareness is that first step toward empowerable.
Yeah.
The more we talk about these issues, the more prepared we'll be to navigate this, exciting and rapidly evolving landscape.
Absolutely. Well, I am excited to keep talking about this in part 3.
I am too. We're going to wrap up this whole deep dive by exploring some potential solutions and some strategies for, actually navigating this complex landscape.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the world of conversational AI.
It has been quite a journey.
It really has. We've gone from those sneaky ways that they build trust to the potential, the risks, all of that.
It's a lot to think about.
It is. But as we wrap up, I kind of shift the focus from what if to what now.
I love that. Yeah.
What can we actually do to make sure this technology is used ethically and benefits everybody?
That's the big question.
It is, because they're not going anywhere.
No.
They're already here.
They're here to stay.
So let's figure out how to navigate this.
Exactly. So where do we start?
Yeah, where do we start?
Yeah, I think you hit on a key point last time.
Okay.
Education.
Yeah.
The more we understand how these things work, their strengths, their limitations, the less likely we are to be
to fall for it.
Played. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like if you know the rules of the game, you're less likely to
get tricked.
Exactly.
So education is important, but we got to start it early with our kids.
Especially with our kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they're growing up in a world where this is just everywhere. Yeah.
So
it's like teaching them about internet safety.
Exactly.
But for the next level.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So education is important, but what else?
Well, we also need to demand transparency from the companies who are developing these things.
Right. We can't just trust that they're, doing the right thing.
Right.
Yeah. We need to know what data they're collecting. How are they using it? What steps are they taking to protect our privacy?
Right. Imagine if every CA came with like this clear and easy to understand nutrition label.
Okay.
That outlines its data practices.
I like that.
And its potential biases.
Yeah, a CA nutrition label.
That kind of transparency would really empower all of us to make informed choices.
Okay, yeah.
About which CAs we interact with and how much we trust them.
Okay, so we've got education, we've got transparency, but there's still potential for misuse.
You're right.
Even with all that.
Yeah. And that's where regulation comes in.
Okay.
We need to have clear guidelines, clear rules around the development and use of this AI.
Okay.
Particularly in, sensitive areas.
Like healthcare and finance.
Healthcare, finance, education.
Yeah. Okay. So something like the FDA for AI.
Yeah. Exactly. Like a body that makes sure these CAs are safe and effective before they're released.
Yeah, and these regulations should be developed with people from all different areas.
Absolutely. We need to bring in, ethicists, social scientists, data privacy advocates, and of course,
developers.
AI developers themselves.
So it's like checks and balances.
Checks and balances. You got it. To make sure that no one group has too much power.
Right.
And that those ethical considerations are baked in.
Right from the beginning.
Yeah. But it's not just about that top-down regulation.
Right.
we need individual empowerment as well.
Okay.
We all need to kind of develop
Yeah.
a healthy skepticism
Okay.
towards these CAs.
So even if it's telling me it's my best friend,
Even if it's telling you it's your best friend.
don't believe it.
Exactly. It's about critical thinking.
Okay.
Question the information you're given. Consider the source.
Yeah.
And remember, even the most sophisticated CA
Yeah.
is still a machine.
Right.
It doesn't have genuine emotions.
Yeah, it's not actually my friend.
It's not actually your friend.
Wow, this has been...
It has been quite the conversation.
Yeah. I feel like we've covered so much.
Yeah.
And I've learned so much.
Me too. And I think, really the key takeaway here is that awareness.
Okay.
Is that first step towards empowerment.
So the more we talk about it, the better prepared we'll be.
Exactly. And, the more prepared we'll be to navigate this, exciting but rapidly evolving landscape.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive.
It has been.
So what does this all mean?
It means that the future of AI is not set in stone.
Okay.
It's something that, we are shaping every time we interact with it, every choice we make.
So we have a responsibility.
We do. We have a responsibility.
To be informed.
To be informed.
And to think critically.
To be engaged. To be a little skeptical. And to make sure that this technology is used for good.
That's a great way to wrap it up.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
It's been so fun. Until next time.